Yo, what's up guys? This is Lebu from Maglazana Tech and I'm here with Sabelo from MLX Ventures. How are you, Sabelo?
I'm very well, thanks to yourself, Lebu.
I'm good, thanks for asking, man. I've heard so much about what you do and I would like us to just delve into that a bit. But before we start, I'd just like to know who is Sabelo, a bit about your background.
Okay, Sabelo is a recovering golfer. Grew up in PE. I recently moved to Joburg and been a tech entrepreneur for the last 12 years only.
Recovering golfer. So what's your handicap now?
I'm playing for 9.
Oh, for 9, that's amazing, eh? Yeah. I'm like an 18, so I don't know what recovery you're doing. So that's amazing, man. So you grew up in PE, and where did you go to varsity?
Yeah, I was at NMMU. I'm that grey boy who never played rugby. And yeah, after NMMU, just did postgraduate stuff through Edinburgh Business School.
Oh, that's amazing. Business school, you say?
Yes.
And you find yourself in the tech industry?
For my sins.
Tell us about that journey.
Yeah, no, the very last job I had, I'd actually been in 3 different jobs in 3 years. Yeah. Was very fortunate in that regard, but the last job I had was 12 years ago. And a guy named Fred Rode, who actually founded The Heavy Chef, came to our office. At the time I was working in advertising. And he said to us that there was some amazing opportunity in e-commerce. I think Zando at the time had just raised a very vulgar sum, and so everybody's eyes were this big. So yeah, I decided to throw my name in the hat.
Oh, nice. So you then started dabbling into the e-commerce space. What in particular in the e-commerce space did you start with?
Essentially, it ended up being quite literally a drop shipping business.
Oh.
We had built the site on Magento. I learned PHP once again for my sins because I didn't have 60,000 rand. This is 12 years ago to build an e-commerce site on that platform. So I got to learn by doing, and yeah, got nominated for a South African e-commerce award that same year.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. And would you say your finance background played a role in that?
No. Unfortunately not. I think the business background did come in a lot later, definitely. But in the early stages, I think it was naivety and just the seeking that thrill of adventure. Okay,
fast forward to MLX Ventures. Tell us a bit about it.
So MLX Ventures is a venture studio in which we build AI, blockchain inclined applications. I try not to refer to it as a vanity project. It's I do indulge in building. I tend to like a lot spending time in front of that computer and creating things. Just for the sake of creation. But in this particular pursuit, the idea is to ensure that we achieve product market fit, get clients even before we write a single line of code, and then at scale, we then almost partner, not sell off, but partner with senior level executives who have found a market fit so that we can scale the solutions in each vertical that we target.
That's amazing. And what are some of the verticals that you guys have built?
Yeah, so very broadly, finance. So we built a decentralized storage application on the internet computer. We're very, very fortunate to have gotten a developer grant from the Divinity organization out in Switzerland to help us build that. And then we've built some autonomous agents within the AI space that kind of extend the functionality of generative AI applications. So instead of maybe just receiving a response and an answer from a particular bot, you get actual actions that take place. I know GPTs currently are doing it with Zapier integrations, but we take it just a notch higher.
I'm sitting here thinking of a company that used to do something similar. They call it If This Then That. They used to do similar work, but I'm guessing in the generative AI era, the advancements are much greater than what they used to do. But diving into that a bit, where would you deploy such applications?
Goodness gracious, why wouldn't we? I think it's exciting and scary at the same time, the prospect of artificial general intelligence. I wouldn't necessarily call it the singularity where, we have these autonomous agents not just passing but completely annihilating the Turing test. But we can apply it in a lot of areas in life. I think finance is a very obvious deployment, and then the creative pursuits. I think folks can work side by side. I don't see AI or machine learning. I still prefer to refer to it in that way. I don't see it replacing people just yet. But there's to answer in one sentence, there's absolutely no limit to where it can be deployed.
That's amazing. You mentioned something about how you guys actually go on to start a new project or vertical, if I may say that, that the market has to be there before you guys actually build. How did you guys perfect that approach to actually developing some of the work that you guys do?
Trial and error.
Yeah.
Trial and error. I think we've managed to condense it into a 3-step process where it's such that we identify a problem, we sell the solution, and then we build the solution. I think, God bless Eric Ries and his lean startup approach, but to an extent you are still throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. But if and when there's a very specific need, you're painting by numbers essentially.
That's awesome, and you don't get to burn the budget too quickly.
Absolutely.
I like that approach. Tell me, I mean, you've been part of a couple of startups, right? And with MLX Ventures, what would you say have been some of the challenges of building this particular business?
Wow, I think a very, very unique challenge that we're facing now is deciding what to work on.
Okay.
There's so much opportunity right now. I hate to sound like a spoiled kid. There's so much opportunity, and then just deciding where to spend your time and effort. That's particularly difficult because there is a financial upside in pretty much 90% of a lot of these builds, especially using that 3-step process. Okay. But prioritizing where we can have the ultimate leverage, the ultimate upside, the ultimate value add, that's a problem I've never had before.
No, that's good to hear. And your team composition, what would you say forms your core team, or who rather?
I'd say the what first is definitely loyalty. I've been very, very fortunate to have good friends that I've worked with for a long time, that during the ups and downs you need to have a team that will weather the storm. Basically my CTO is a Genta I've known for about 12 years. We met in university, actually more than that, I forget, but we've been working together for about 12 years.
Okay.
And his best friend is our chief security officer.
Oh, nice.
And just meeting with very interesting people almost every day, and learning, just exploring how best to work with folks. I think there are some general traits that I really tend to admire, and they work out in the startup world, at least in my very tiny experience, since I'm so young.
That's good, man. So what would you say, if somebody watching this video right now and very interested in the work that you guys do, how does one collaborate or partner with you guys? Or what sort of partners are you looking for rather?
Goodness gracious. Across the board. I mean, I think everyone from corporates right through to those recent graduates who are considering careers in tech. Be they from commerce backgrounds, art backgrounds, technology backgrounds. I think that diversity of thought is incredibly important in what it is that we're doing. So it's specifically, of course, you're always looking for not just the procurement managers, but people in corporate who are willing to complain over a round of golf about things they don't like. And thereafter, of course, the decision makers who can make purchase of solutions thereof possible. And then on the build side, we definitely need creative problem solvers from a variety of backgrounds. It's very easy to get a whole bunch of developers into one room and still get it wrong. I think
true.
Interpretation of the problem and ensuring that it reaches the intended I suppose, person who's actually experiencing the problem is easier said than done. So having people with a creative way of understanding said problems is incredibly important.
What are the common challenges that your clients face?
Efficiency challenges?
Yeah.
I think 9 times out of 10 they do boil down to people challenges. So any psychology graduates, please do. It's a lot of them, without being too specific, of course. There's we try and ask ourselves or ask our potential clients what keeps you up at night. Because those personal problems then can be interpreted in a tech way, and then to an extent we can alleviate that pain. I wouldn't say we completely eradicate it because that's a very big claim, but we try our best to eradicate emotional problems that people in corporate actually feel.
So do you sell your software or do you white label it? I'm trying to figure out what is the business model to what you guys do.
Yeah, currently we provide it as a SaaS, software as a service, and obviously that really just reduces the risk. But because it's such a new business, we realize that we need to at least validate our efficacy over X amount of time.
All right.
Thereafter, there is obviously the option to get an acquisition partner, nudge, wink, wink, once we're effective enough. But right now, the entire idea is to ensure that we make it as easy as possible to deploy the solution, as cheap as possible to do so, and then just make sure that nobody gets into trouble for actually trying out the solution, just maximizing the upside.
Okay, so for somebody who might be watching this again, who wants to interact with you guys, how do they get hold of you?
Yeah, sure. So I'm never shy to share my direct email because it's I think the best way to scale is to speak with potential partners at least a quarter of the day, customers 3/4 of the day, and then at night we write code. Basically Sabelo at MLXVentures.com.
There you have it. You'll also have it in the description. And one last parting shot. In terms of the space that you're in, right? Generative AI, what does the future look like?
Goodness gracious, that's a very interesting question. I think much as the technology and its core components have been around for decades, the way we interact with it is what's going to change most. The interfaces with which we interact with AI, generative AI, predictive technologies, that's what's going to be the single most mind-blowing aspect of it. I think we're very limited in our, I suppose, predictions thereof because we're thinking about it through a smartphone, a tablet, a laptop. But I think what will be most interesting is the different sort of technologies that will evolve over the coming months, years, that will change the way with which we interact with the tech.
That's amazing to hear, man. I really enjoyed the conversation with you, and hopefully we'll get to play a round of golf sometime.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I just need to improve my handicap.